Without exception, every single person was staring into the sky. This was yet another oddity in a long list of oddities. Appearances and disappearances, angelic pronouncements, darkness at midday, a temple curtain torn in half. All these events are centered around one person, Jesus. Moments earlier, Jesus was giving a blessing to the disciples when, without warning, he began to rise from the ground. Higher and higher he ascended until he disappeared in a cloud. Then, another unexpected angelic pronouncement. The very Jesus who was taken up from among you to heaven will come as certainly and mysteriously as he is left. The ascension leaves us with lots of confusing questions. Is Jesus' place and our place a long, long way from one another? Did he accomplish his mission to no longer intervene in our world? Is he now a distant God who isn't going to actually do anything? Here's our key spiritual insight to remember. Although Christ is out of sight, he is still active today in your life, our community, and the world. There is still an overlapping and interlocking of heaven and earth. Christ continues to do stuff. He's alive. He's active. He makes his presence felt in the here and now. First of all, he is ruling while seated at the right hand of the Father. Ephesians 1:19 through 21. He's an exalted position of distinction, authority, and power. Jesus is a benevolent king that rules for the flourishing of his people. He triumphs over principalities, powers of darkness, and spiritual forces, over countries, people groups, and governments. Then, why is life in general and my life in particular so difficult, you may ask? His complete dominion has only partially come to earth. For now, he's restraining evil and protecting us from greater adversity. And he is still personally active in your life, our communities, and the world. Through the Holy Spirit on earth, he is holding back lawlessness, convincing of sin, reconciling the world, providing salvation, and increasing faith. Also, he is fulfilling his role as great high priest on our behalf. Hebrews 4:14 through 16. Because Christ was tempted, but without sin, he is empathetic. He understands our struggles, our weaknesses, and the sin-tainted reality in which we live. He understands the numbing pain, abuse in the past, and the struggles. He knows the temptation of sex that avoids commitment and our selfishness. We have an advocate in the Father's presence who speaks up for us. Jesus compassionately prays for us, interceding on our behalf. Now we can approach the throne of grace. This is where we find grace and mercy in our time of great need. It's where our lives and others' lives are changed. Do you pray? Maybe you say, "Here's what I want. Help!" Or, "Get me out of this trouble." And there's nothing wrong with that prayer. But let's go on to more mature ones. Increase my faith, Lord. Make me more loving. Change me. May Christ be honored by my life. Not my will, but yours be done. Finally, he is working on our future dwelling place. John 14:2. Jesus Christ is active in our lives today and active in preparing for our future. God will put the whole world to rights. Just now, he is putting people right by the gospel, justification. We bring advanced signs of what's to come into our present world, in healing, justice, in beauty, and in lamenting the continuing pain of this world. But there's a coming day when death, suffering, disease, evil, abuse, and separation from God will finally be put to an end. We will be welcomed into His presence to receive the full privileges of our redemption. There awaits an inheritance beyond change or decay. We live with the promise and in the hope of our eternal country. When we glimpse this reality, it is natural for us to worship. Not to have this reaction is a good sign that we haven't grasped what He has done or what He is still doing. Listen to Luke 24:51 through 53. While He was blessing them, He left them and was taken up into heaven. Then they worshipped Him and returned to Jerusalem with great joy. And they stayed continually at the temple, praising God. Worship is acknowledging the worth of someone far superior. Robust worship becomes the distinctive of those who recognize that Christ is still active in our lives, our communities, and in the world.